was an only child growing up, and I also had relatively unrestricted internet access, so I spent a lot of my formative years talking to strangers online. RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Star Stable, Animal Jam, I played them all. So on one fateful day in 2017, I came across this game on the App Store, and it was called Zelda Online. Little did I know that this game would become a myth of its time, and I would invest thousands of hours of my adolescence into it. And not just that, but I would go on to work for the game and then revisit it 7 years later, now in 2025, only to find it completely abandoned, but also somehow still alive, in a weird but powerful way that has completely changed my perspective on gaming. This is one of my favorite and most personal videos yet. This is a story that you don't know, but you've probably still felt with your childhood game. Zelda Online came about in 1999, and it was started by some guy in his basement, using Java, as all good things are. His name was Stefan Noor, and he wanted to make an RPG game where players could build their own maps and levels. So he started to make that game, and he took a lot of inspiration from Zelda: A Link to the Past, and he called it Zelda Online. It is a pretty big risk to square up to Nintendo like that, but you know, this wasn't meant to be a huge project, this was just something he was making in his basement. But then more and more people started to find Zelda Online. It was featured on the small platform that it was published on. And at this point, Stefan wanted the project to stay alive, so he renamed it to Grawl the Adventure. Now, because Grawl was all about players being able to make their own worlds, we ended up with a pretty big ecosystem of Grawl games. Nowadays, there's 4 main Grawl games that are out there. There's Grawl Era, which is all about guns and gang life. Grawl Zone, which is about space. Grawl Wild West, which is all cowboy western themed. And then there's Grawl Classic, which is the one that I played, and it's the one that most closely resembles Zelda Online. The Grawl gameplay loop is pretty similar to any MMO. You can socialize and make friends, spar, fight for territory on the map, maybe roleplay, which is a pretty big thing, or try and complete quests. Amidst all that, you can customize a house, play minigames that are hosted by admins, and explore. Now, on average, there would be maybe 2,000 to 8,000 people online at a time, and probably double that on Grawl Era. There were constantly admin-led events happening, sparring tournaments, guilds rigorously fighting for territory on the map, holiday events, VIP updates, so much content and so many people, business was booming. But the best part came from something that'll make any MMO either amazing or horrible. And it's the player base. Because the reality that I encountered in this game, and really any online game that I touched at 12, 13 years old, is that I got to talk to so many people from so many different walks of life. I met fellow students, I met adults well in their career, I met people in different countries, people 6 time zones away, I met people who had traveled the world and people who had never left their hometown, I met highly logical, smart people who'd destroy me at chess, and then also artists who'd create things I could never dream of. I met people who had a lot of money, and I met people who didn't have any. I met people who worked 3 jobs, and I met people who couldn't work. I met people who saw the world in such this beautiful high light, and then I met people who didn't believe in it. I met Christians, I met atheists, I met artists, I met entrepreneurs, I met parents, I met teachers, I met optimists, pessimists, and I realized just how big this world is and how many people call it home from so many different places for so many different reasons. I learned that from Grawl Online Classic, but I also did when I played Final Fantasy, or Fascia Diva Drama Show on Roblox. But really any online game, and that's the beauty of it to me. The more that you think about it and the more that you reflect on your experience in these games, the more you realize how unique MMOs are from a cultural perspective, because all of those things I just explained, all those people, all those lives, all those lived experiences, they are everywhere around us in real life, but you just don't see it. Unless you'd go and talk to a stranger on the street the same way that you'd send a private message to someone in a video game. You'd probably be more hesitant to join a random conversation in real life, but you wouldn't in a video game. Because what these games have that real life lacks is the existence of what's called a third space. Third spaces are places where it's socially acceptable to go up to a stranger and talk to them. It isn't your home, because that's the first space. It's not your workplace, that's the second space. But it's a place like a library, or a cafe, or a restaurant, a park. Theoretically, it's the majority of public places. But you're probably thinking to yourself, hang on a second, Juniper. I don't go and talk to strangers in these places because that would be weird. Yeah, because as time has gone on, it's become less and less socially acceptable to talk to strangers, even in the environments that should be fostering those connections. But the whole point and the thing with MMOs is that that's always been okay. If you're in a game of Valorant, it is perfectly acceptable, if not kind of expected, to talk to your teammates. Sure, people might be toxic. There's like a 20% chance, maybe 40% if you're a woman, that someone's gonna tell you to end your life. But the fact that it's not out of the norm to start a conversation and to talk to someone you don't know is what I'm talking about. During COVID, I used to go on the Among Us Discord server, and you could be by yourself and just join a voice chat with 9 other people and play the game. Everyone would be talking verbally as the game went on, and everyone would generally follow the rules of like deafening when you're dead and leaving the call, and like that is such a cool thing. And that feeling right there, that is what Grawl was for me for so many years of my life. And if it wasn't Grawl for you, because I highly doubt it was probably Destiny or World of Warcraft or RuneScape. And you're not gonna believe who the sponsor of this video is. We do have to take a break, but I am so excited because today's video is sponsored by Old School RuneScape. I used to play a lot of RuneScape back in the day, and it was a joy to come back to it now. Because for the first time since 2013, there's a brand new skill in the game, and it's sailing. It completely changes the way that this game is played because now you get to man your own ship, travel the oceans, and sailing is a whole new expansion of the world. One of my favorite parts of playing an MMO is exploring and just seeing the different areas and how they're designed, the different NPCs, and sailing just enables more of that. There are now 30 plus new islands in this game, and it's just a whole new experience whether you have played old school RuneScape before or not. Now, you might be worried that this is just another grind fest of doing the same action over and over to gain XP, but it's a lot more interesting than that. There's a variety of ways that you can gain XP in the sailing skill. You can navigate and steer, there's quests at different ports, you can race, salvage shipwrecks, there's so much. So if you're ready to get cracking, that's a pun, then check out my link in the description and get sailing in old school RuneScape. Now, moving on to something a little unrelated. You know how a sound effect can hold so much emotion and nostalgia? Something like this. Or this.
It's the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolatey flavor. Reese's Puff Cereal, part of a complete breakfast.
When I hopped back on Grawl Online Classic for the first time in 7 years, I was bombarded by these sounds. The sound when you get a private message. The sound when you swing your sword. The sound when you load into the game for the very first time. Allow me to take you through the world of Grawl Online Classic here. You start your journey on Balam Island, which is this quaint little island surrounded by water. It's actually true for all islands now that I read that. Once you complete the tutorial, which involves killing a few of these soldiers, you're able to leave the island and then make it to the main world. The map in this game is actually pretty big. There's a lot of different areas with different features, but everyone usually hangs out in the same area. And that tends to be in Grawl City, which is smack dab center of the map. Grawl City is home to where anyone who just kind of wants to hang out and chat will be. But as you can see, there's really not a lot of people here. There are a few other major areas of the map. There's Swamp Town, which is where you can farm for in-game currency. There's Yorktown, which is where admins will sometimes host horse racing events. Snowtown, which is probably on its way out because of global warming. But Grawl City is where it's at. This city used to be packed. You'd have to be fighting for a spot to stand to not get covered up by somebody else. Every little room in the town would have people in it. But now, the burger joint, desolate, just NPCs slaving away. Any little hotel building is completely empty. The bank is also empty, as it must be a recession, nobody's here. There's something so strange and so sad about seeing your childhood game, a place that once had so many people, so dead. Even the nightclub in this game used to be thriving. There's a little, oh, what's it called? Not a DJ booth. Oh, what is it? A box. DJ box. What is that thing called? Jukebox. There's a jukebox at the top of the DJ club. And this place is also completely empty. Oh. Wait. It's not. In came a player with 2 whole minutes of playtime in this game. I begged him to know what he was doing here, and he said that he used to have an account, but he lost it, and now he's just back for the nostalgia. And for everyone that I've ended up talking to and asking why they still play this game, that seems to be the answer. It's nostalgia. Most of these people had played the game in the same era that I had and were only back for the nostalgia. Nostalgia is such a powerful feeling, and I know that from those Minecraft edits that everybody posts on Instagram, but it's true. It is such a strong feeling because it's ultimately the comfort of familiarity. It is such a comfort that people will log onto a game that makes them feel nostalgic years after it's dead and spend their precious time there purely because it's familiar. Instead of doing anything else, trying a new game, a new hobby, meeting new people in real life, whatever it be, it's easier to go back to something familiar, even if it's not what it once was, because it's comforting. It's kind of a trap in a way. It keeps you locked into this idealized version of the past that doesn't exist anymore. Whatever game is nostalgic for you, the feelings that you had back then playing it, the way you played it, the game it was, isn't there. Yet, we still play to get the tiniest little hit of what life was like when it was. But I guess that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm reliving my experience here from 2013, looking at my old house, my items, reminiscing on how cool I was in 2015 for having this beaver morph. Ugh. And sorry, just while we're talking about it, I have to show you my house. Please, seriously, yeah, I insist. Come on inside. I've got all kinds of little pets everywhere. They all have names, of course. There's this little musical trail that you can walk on, and it'll play a little song for you as you go. And if you keep taking that trail, you'll be able to find the inside to my house. Yeah, these are my ducks. These are 106 of the finest ducks in the country. I called them the Union. Anyone who visits my establishment always has a pretty positive thing to say about my ducks, or at least something that I hope is positive. Oh yeah, they're yellow. Even Coco Gilman liked my house. Oh, sorry. Coco is an admin. A Grawl police admin. Yeah, he's a legend. See, everyone back in the day wanted to be an admin because admins essentially ran the game. These were the people who would handle reports from players if anyone was being bad. They could fly around the map and manipulate the world with their special abilities. But most importantly, they would host the public server-wide events. Basically what would happen is an admin would send out a message saying, hey, there's a portal that I put somewhere in the map, and here's a hint as to where that portal is. The first 30, 50 people, whatever, that make it inside will be able to play the event. Coming back to Grawl in 2025, I was locked and loaded, and I wanted to win an event. I tried time after time, racing to these portals. Everyone was faster than me. I guess they added mount speed or something, because I was so slow. Unfortunately, I did not make it into any of the events, but the games themselves could look something like this. It would be some little minigame hosted by an admin. An admin like Coco, who had complimented my duck house. But the thing is, I know Coco. Because at the peak of my Grawl career, at 13 years old, I applied to be an admin. And I got hired. Next thing you know, I was the one hosting the events for thousands of players online at a time. I was the one sending clues on really niche locations in the map. I would go so all out with those clues. I would literally send out like periodic table elements, and if you referenced a periodic table, you could decode the message to figure out where on the map the portal was. I went all out, but I was also deciding what graphics would make it into the game. I was banning people. I was in charge of kind of managing the general upkeep and the public image of this game. It was so much power and so much responsibility, but it was so much fun. Being an admin for this game was a little bit crazy though, because was I 13 years old? Yeah. Did my parents know I was doing this? No. And follow-up question, do my parents watch my videos and this is how they're gonna find out? Yeah, it is true that sometimes I would be in the middle of hosting an event for thousands of people on my mom's computer, and she would come in the room, so I'd switch tabs and then have to lie to my manager and tell them my Wi-Fi went out. But it really is crazy that I ran into Coco, someone who I used to work with, and he happened to see me online and message me. He was able to show me a lot of the animations that he's gotten into making for the game, which is really cool. And I was able to find my old admin account. And yeah, this is how I got the name Juniper, by the way. Little bit of a lore drop, but admins always had like really unique, usually single word names, so Juniper kind of fit right up there, and it has stuck ever since. While I was recording footage for this video, some people actually recognized me as being the admin from 7 years ago, which is so crazy because one person even had screenshots of me announcing them winning my events that I hosted. They have a statue in their house of my admin account. Like, what? What? Life is so crazy with timing like that sometimes, but it also just made me realize something. The same people who are playing this game right now for nostalgia, which, like I said, is pretty much everybody, are the same people that I played this game with 7 years ago. In a weird way, the community behind this game has stayed the same. We've grown older together. We're watching the game change together. And we're all here in 2025 chasing that feeling of when we were all younger together. In this moment of reflecting on my childhood and other people's childhoods and my time as an admin, talking to people who somehow remembered me from all that time ago, I felt what everyone in this game has been chasing, and I finally understood it. The nostalgia. This year on Halloween night, Coco hosted a costume contest in Grawl City. The entire area was packed to the brim with people who had probably just logged on for the event. Seeing everyone dress up, pair up with random people to make a group costume, watching Coco host it, I felt a feeling that I hadn't felt since I was 13 years old on my iPad mini hiding under the covers in my childhood bedroom. That feeling doesn't come from how fun this game is or how good the graphics might be. It's the feeling of logging in after school, or rapidly switching tabs on my iPad so my parents don't see that I'm talking to strangers online. The feeling of starting a conversation with a stranger and knowing that in that moment, they are somewhere in the world staring at a little screen the same way that I am. Some of my favorite parts coming back to this game in 2025 weren't anything big and flashy. It was having the smallest, mundane, brief conversations with people as I passed through different parts of the map. I found someone who had a similar bear mount as me, so I said, "Nice bear," and then they threw a bush at me. I ran away, terrified, but they apologized and we hugged it out. Another guy complimented my mount. He didn't really speak English, but I was able to figure out that he has a yellow horse mount. Someone else was asking for music recommendations, so I referred them to one of my favorite songs of all time, and we just started talking about anime. The more that I looked at these conversations, the more that I realized this is kind of just like starting small talk in real life. These aren't the profound, deep conversations I talked about earlier that give me a new perspective and change my life, but they're still just nice. The thing is that I just don't normally start these conversations in real life. Whether it's because we don't have those third spaces anymore or because I'm afraid of being seen as weird, I'm never the one to start talking to the stranger in the elevator. I won't strike up a conversation with the person who's scanning my card in the drive-thru, even if there's cars that we're both waiting on. I usually don't really talk to the Uber driver either. And I'm not shy. I have no qualms talking to people. I really like talking to people, but I'm just never the one to start the conversations in those environments. So it's weird, because in Grawl I do. And I did as a child. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder how different life would be if I didn't hesitate so much to talk to people. I don't think it would have some grand, significant ripple on my entire life and it would really change everything for me. But I do wonder, because in those moments where I start the tiniest interaction with someone on Grawl that means nothing, I feel joy. Returning to my now dead childhood video game hasn't really inspired me to keep playing it, but it has inspired me to maybe talk to the person next to me in line, the same way that I would if it was in a video game. Maybe this video gave you something to think about, maybe it didn't. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!